If you clicked on this video expecting to hear me explain the plot of Sonny Boy, then you need to sit down and listen because you already screwed up. Sonny Boy is about kids and superpowers and alternate dimensions and time and cat wizards and God and all that, but the thing is, if you were paying attention to all that shit, then you didn't get Sonny Boy. Because it's never about that. It's never at any point about any of that stuff. The only thing you need to know is, being a kid and growing up, it's hard and nobody understands. Now, if you're a hardcore weeb, you'll recognize that as a quote from Homestuck. The quote from Homestuck, actually. If I ever have a few months of free time, I'd like to make a video about it, but the point I want to make today is that Sonny Boy, Futility, and Homestuck are basically all the same story. With just how memorable and profound yet similar each of these stories are, they seem to me like a new genre of storytelling ripe with possibilities. They are metaphors for growing up. Because growing up is hard and nobody understands. I know I said we shouldn't try to understand it, but in order to illustrate exactly what I'm saying, we need to do some light analysis. So let's take a quick look at the part in Sonny Boy where Nozomi dies. No one really knows how to deal with it. It's sudden and random, and we as the audience feel completely disconnected from her death. Why did she die? What even happens? They're just sitting around a new world like 1,000, a million others they've seen before, looking for answers. And she, for some reason, falls and dies, and no one knows what happened or what to do, and the show never once offers an explanation. Sure, it just showed us her funeral a few episodes earlier and she accepts her death before falling to it, but this all merely adds to this one idea. Her death is meaningless. The alternate dimensions thing gives us a profound disconnect from her death and everything around it. We don't know why she dies. We don't know why they're there. We don't know anything. All we know is that they're just kids looking for a way home. Kids with superpowers, that is, and because they have superpowers, we feel helpless watching them. Asakaze being powerless to act as he watches Nozomi fall to her death feels all the more real when we know that he can literally fly. He doesn't know what to do, and he can't help but sit there and watch because when it comes down to it, he's nothing but a scared, lonely kid. No one knows anything, and everyone's just trying to learn their place in the world. Why is this happening, and what should they do? What can they do? And then what happens after her death is really bizarre. They hold this weird funeral and put signs in the woods and a guest book out front, even though no one is coming. No one signs the guest book. They have a meal service with cats and the saddest dinner you could possibly imagine, and this as much resembles an orgy as it does a funeral. That is to say, fuck all. Rather, it feels like what a couple kids might think a funeral is supposed to look like. It's a funeral on paper, but in reality, it's a hilariously garbled, ignorant mess. None of them really understand death, and none of them know how to feel except for the one girl who cries, and none of her friends are mature enough to be able to help her deal with it. The raw confusion from the world comes out to us as a severe disconnect between us and their emotions, which is nothing short of fucking genius, because that's how they all feel about the world and each other. If you're paying attention to the music and you understand Japanese, it's uplifting and cheerful. It isn't sad, but the lyrics are. It adds to the strange duality created by the confusing world building, and it all comes together to turn it from a thoughtful, sad scene into something extremely profound. Same with the rules. All the rules they have to follow, those are just the rules of society. No violence, respect others, no stealing. They're all just things you have to learn as a kid, but being framed around mysterious superpowers and stuff makes us consider their social dynamics and how they all change a little more carefully. Where did they come from? What's up with the different worlds? The superpowers. Their principle is supposed to be God. Then they overcome the power of God and travel across space and time to return to the real world, and just what the fuck? The fuck is that none of that actually matters, because here's the thing with puberty fables. That's what I'm calling them, by the way. Another viewer suggested surrealist coming-of-age story. That's a little wordy, so comment if you have any other suggestions. And while we're at it, please step on the like button. So here's the thing with puberty fables. There are a lot of questions, but never any answers. There might literally be answers, both Fulikuli and Homestuck do eventually get around to explaining their fucking convoluted shit, but I don't think Sonny Boy ever does, because that isn't the point of a puberty fable. Hell, maybe Futility and Homestuck would be better stories with a little less explanation, although Futility is already packed tighter than a Japanese schoolgirl. Because the actual answers are never the important part. It's the questions that are important. If you're paying attention to the answers, you're looking at it wrong. It's not supposed to make sense to you. It's supposed to be a confusing, complicated, lonely fucking mess, because that's what growing up is. Being a kid and growing up, it's hard and nobody understands. It's about capturing the feeling of growing up, and Sonny Boy does this masterfully. There's this scene about the ghost monkeys where we feel the excitement of discovering something new and unknown about the world. There's the kids that turn to stone and shut themselves off from the rest of society and barely anyone even notices. There's the upside down Tower of Babel, and it's not about what the tower means, it's about how each of the kids stuck in this purgatory find meaning. None of this shit is supposed to make any real sense, because that's never ever the point. So part of the reason I wanted to make this video is because you can do a search and find all these videos explaining Sonny Boy, and there's just so much wrong with this idea. They are, by their very nature, literally doing the opposite of explaining it, because if you're explaining it, then you're missing the fucking point. It's about growing up. Being a kid and growing up, it's hard and nobody understands. And now I need your help, because if Sonny Boy made one thing clear, it's that there is a lot of room for new stories in this space. What exactly is a puberty fable? I'm imagining them as stories where something big and confusing is a metaphor for growing up. If you have a better idea, or if you know any stories that could be puberty fables, do leave me a comment. Wonder Egg Priority could be one. The themes are more focused on depression and self-harm rather than growing up, but it's not like those two things aren't connected at all. Maybe puberty fables aren't even restricted to coming-of-age stories. What about Evangelion? I think maybe we draw the line at Evangelion, because while it does deal with the exact same themes as a puberty fable, I'm not sure the giant robots are supposed to be metaphors for puberty. Or are they? I've only seen the original, and I've only seen it once. And what else should we consider ingredients of a puberty fable? Sonny Boy, Futility, and Homestuck all have extremely iconic soundtracks to help express the feelings they are trying to convey. How important is music to a puberty fable? The problem with these stories is that they're by nature not supposed to be entirely understood, so maybe this isn't very productive. And while I can only think of 3 stories that are definitely puberty fables, they're each one of my favorite stories ever and absolutely worth everyone's time. Even Homestuck. Even though it'll take you 3 months to read, and even though this contradicts my scholarly opinion that it's far too short. Maybe if I ever get to 100,000 subs, I'll get around to explaining this one. Speaking of scholarly opinions though, if you like this video, you'll enjoy my video on existentialism and the meaning of life in Cowboy Bebop. Thank you so much for your time, friends, and I will see you in the next video.